Hey, what's going on, Whoa. Wrong game. I'm just kidding. I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Do you guys play Yu-Gi-Oh? But anyway, that was successful. Anyway, new cards have come out. So of course I want to go over that with you guys. Like, comment, subscribe for everything Runeterra based. I just wanted to show you as a joke. Relax. Jesus Christ, I can't joke with you people. But I hope you guys enjoy. We're gonna go over the new cards that just came out. Hopefully that they're super fun and crazy. Hopefully they're from different regions. I don't know. I think I saw one thing that was Noxus, but we're gonna scroll up and we're gonna go. So without further ado, let's get to it. First up, we have Capsize. This is an Ionian elemental card. Recall an enemy to increase the cost of the next unit your opponent plays this round by 2. Slow speed. So you recall any enemy, right? Doesn't matter which one you recall, to increase the cost of the next unit your opponent plays. So you can recall a 1-cost unit. The cost of the unit you recall doesn't even matter. But what does matter is the next unit they play. So let's say they play, let's say it's your turn, honestly. Let's say, I think that's where it's best, right? They have a unit on the field, you recall it. So now their turn on curve play, like their unit or their champion that they wanted to play, now can't be played because now it costs 2. Or they have to play something else that's cheaper to do it. This card seems insanely strong. I'm also curious what happens if it like karma duplicates it. Does it, and obviously it recalls 1, but does the second thing pull? That would be interesting to test, right? Because you would be able to do that or both. Or obviously if you pay 2 in a round, then you keep screwing them over and over and over again, right? Because I'm assuming once the unit is played, then it stops, right? Not that it stops, but then it can be put on again, or is it only that 1 per turn? That's kind of, and it's funny that I played Yu-Gi-Oh! In the first, like something like this, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card would say this effect can only be activated once per turn. But like, what if you do it once, they play something for 2 costs more, which is almost like a prank, right? And then you do it again, you capsize that unit, put it back in their hand, and now they have to play 2 more. What if you cycled this? What if you just infinitely kept cycling it to make it that? I mean, you would, I don't know, maybe you would still be able to do it. And with cards like Updraft, this might not be a 4 cost, this might be 3. You know, this could be, if you do some other stuff, it might be 2. What if you just kept capsizing your opponent until oblivion? I think the thought of that is hilarious to me. But it does make their plays pretty awkward. Now, this is one of those cards where in games like Runeterra, it's a card that you hope is effective, right? You hope it screws them over. Now, if you have a couple of these in the hand, obviously if you're doing it back to back to back, really does screw their plays up, right? But you hope it does, right? Because like, what if you do that and they were gonna play a 1 cost, now it costs a 3 cost, but it doesn't really mess up anything, right? But it should have impact, but you'll never know it impacted them unless they play that card. And then you see that, damn, they paid too much for it. Or you see them skip their turn because they can't play it. Also, it could make, there's not any like really big card, like Aurelian Soul, I guess, that he can technically never be paid because he's a 10 drop that now costs 12, you know, but you could just play something else that round, but then it's interesting, very interesting. And it adds to the annoyance of Ionia and the recall meta in general, so I think that's awesome. So I like this card a lot. I think you would instantly put this in every Ionia deck, especially just to test it out. But I do think that it actually will have implications. 1 cost decks also would be affected by this, right? Because then all of a sudden it's a 3 cost on board as a 3 cost. It's no longer a 1 cost card. If it got any Siren Song buff before, it's fine. But if you play it as a 3 cost and then you use Siren Song, it does not get that buff. It's a 3 cost on field. So very interesting implications that can be done with that. Next up, a Gentleman's Duel. Give an ally +0/+2, that ally and an enemy strike each other. So Demacia getting another fantastical strike spell. This one's more geared for, obviously, Formidable. It also just, in general, more geared towards surviving the strike, right? So a lot of times you do a close combat, you do all these other ones. There's so many, I can't remember the names of all of them. And you die because, you know, your attacks are about equal, but this one gives you that defense, which allows you to strike and survive the strike. And for cards that do have strike passives, that's really good too. So I don't want to spend too much time on this card, but it's a phenomenal card. I think if you're in Demacia, you should definitely run it. I think and most times you'll come out more favorable in the trade, just because of the fact that you have that +2 defense, which is great. And then you could even use it as like how we used to use close combat, but you actually might win the trade, because close combat was just do the fight, right? Just do it. I think it's 2 costs, just do the fight in general. 1 more mana, you come out technically more favorable in the trade by having more HP. And if the unit happens to be formidable, then we're good. Also, I'm not done cooking. All right, what if the unit or one of the other units have Brash? Because, you know, Nyla is, I want to call her Nyla because of Simba and Lion King, sorry. But what if they now can block Brash because of the +2? Yeah, they traded with something, but now with the extra +2, they now have enough. They have more than 3 after that trade, and then maybe they can trade. So I like it a lot, We got some PNZ. Oh, why did I just say that? That is not PNZ. Vandal City. Oh, just shut up. I could already feel it in the comments. Just shut the hell up. So, Bursting Backpack is for each Bursting Backpack you played this game, plant 4 Chimes in your deck and 4 Poison Puffcats in the enemy deck, and then you also create a Bursting Backpack in your deck. So, Wildfire is not the only ramp card, printer card that they decided to print this patch. They're actually doing another one in Vandal City, which is insane because obviously if you look at the Kahiri deck, that Kahiri deck is for Eternal especially. And I like to look at things mostly in an Eternal Eye mindset because that is the entirety of the card base, right? I don't know if I mentioned that when I do these reviews. I'm thinking about every single card. I'm not just thinking, well, in rotation. But yeah, in rotation it depends on if they. I don't know how often they do rotation, but in Eternal this is interesting because you could do Curious Shellfolk. You can constantly predict it, and it costs 1, which is crazy for predicting, especially with the Valiant Invitation version that Lucky Cat had created. That you can have it to the point where you're playing a bunch of these. You fill up your hand with it in 1 predict, right? Because you have a bunch of Curious Shellfolks, and then the next one you don't even pick it, or you pick some other thing after your hand is a little bit more empty, and then you're just putting a bunch of Puffcaps in it and Chimes in your deck at the same time. That is a little bit crazy. Now, as far as like game ending, I don't think so. I mean, it's cool to put a bunch of Chimes. Obviously, you're I think more or less looking for the Puffcaps to be in there, but also with Mr. Thrift, this could get out of control really quickly. And let's say if you do rotation and you take out the Curious Shellfolk, right? I still think you could, I think you could still do predictions and still do this a bunch of times. And interesting, very interesting. Love this card. Another printer card, but a printer card. I wonder if they're gonna go with a bunch of printer cards because draw is becoming better, right? So Puffcap should be much stronger against like the Neela and all her package of if you're trying to go heavy draw, right? Now Puffcaps and the Chimes will also synergize with that. What if you're gonna go Neela, Nora? You know, you're drawing and you do all of this. You put all the cards that draw like a shit ton. Oh crap! Oh my god, why did I never think about that? Neela and Nora are insanely good together because if you draw and your board is full, those cards go to your hand, and then if you have, I mean, there's only 1 card that does that updraft thing, but he could take that entire freaking hand, swallow it whole, swallow that whole hand, get super buffed, draw 2 more cards, which can then again trigger more fleeting stuff. But then if you happen to hit the shit, oh my god, that's so good. That's so good. I just thought about that. That might be the first deck that I make. Honestly, that seems nuts. Now we have another lovely thing. We have another band. Oh, they wanted the Vandal City. Play. Pick 1 or of 2 non-champion cards from the enemy's hand. I capture it. Wait, no. Is that like hand removal? 2 costs remove a card from their hand. Now, 1 non-champion cards, it doesn't specify, like, can you capture a spell? That's busted. Yeah, you're definitely purple, my friend. Dude, what if you duplicate this and you just steal their hand? Oh my god, the printing is gonna seem insane. I would just print this guy. And at that point, like, if they don't have a way to deal 2 damage or if you buff him up in some way, shape, or form, how do you out this guy? Because he keeps stealing stuff from the hand. Yes, they'll draw a champion, but most champions, depending on what they are, like maybe like what, like Vlad, if you have a field, he can like that. Most champions don't have innate ping, right? He's elusive also, so he can even block, and then you can give them that card. Now, what's crazy is, can I see the card? And if I could see the card, even if he dies, I got a lot of information. I know what's in your hand now. But you can also deny stuff. Imagine playing Trundle, and then I capture the Ice Pillar. Imagine playing Trundle and I capture your ice pillar, bro. I mean, obviously, if this card were to become popular, you start to run more ping. Ping becomes more popular. You don't want to get your thing. You ping it off, you get your card back. But even in that state, or actually Challenger Vulnerable also becomes popular too to get hit. Because he has to be on the field, he has to be played. But still super strong of a card. This card's insanely strong. I can't even stress enough at how insanely strong this card is. It's just because it's capturing a card from the enemy's hand. If you play a couple of them, like let's say you draw all three in your opening hand, and let's say they don't have a champion, you don't always draw a champion, and you take 3 of their cards and you sit back with them. It doesn't say that this card has to attack or this card pings itself for 1 damage each turn or something like that, like the priestess or something like that to counteract, but just stealing cards from their hand and keeping them, and they have to kill it to get it back. Or, as we know, you could silence this. And there's other really weird ways you can remove that. I mean, constantly silencing your own card seems like annoying, but just to remove cards from their hand. I've been looking for a possible like discard deck. I've done it once. It wasn't that successful, but it's very interesting to think of that. Oh my God, skip. Yeah, you skip your turn. That play, it's turn 2. I go turn 2. I take your turn 2 play, and then now it's gone. And then, oh no, this is Ionia. There's some real crazy stuff going on, but that's not it. We got some more. I think this is the last card. So let's go. Next up is going to be Defenders of the Sun Disk, and it's an elite card in Shurima. Daybreak. What kind of cocaine is this card? It's an elite card in Shurima that has a Daybreak effect that says draw a Defenders of the Sun Disk, which is itself. Draw yourself. Why would you want to do that? And why is it Shurima? If the card said like it reduced the Sun Disk thing, it would make sense. I mean, it's a free draw. That is one thing that I have to look at it. It's a card that draws itself, as long as you play it first. A card that draws itself, so it's a free draw. Like you could utilize that in some way, shape, or form. And then maybe if you're using some type of like printer, maybe it technically could be another printer card. You print the hell out of this card. Maybe with the Void Gate, you put like keywords on it, and maybe you give it buffs, like Iceborne Legacy or something like that. And then now you have these cards, and then how do you duplicate it? I think that's what I'm trying to figure out. You have to duplicate it in some way, shape, or form, or just keep summoning them, right? You take the 3 that you have, and then maybe you do. I don't know, but I guess that's the only thing. As far as anything, this card is probably weak. I don't even want to. I don't feel like looking to this. Another elite card, another elite Daybreak card. So are they trying to bring Daybreak into Shurima? Because right now I think Daybreak has pretty much been exclusively Targon. And I think that maybe if you give it another region in which it can do that, it's cool. Also, it'd be interesting if they added more cards to Shurima that synergize with the Sun Disk being revived, right? Like, it kind of sucks that a lot of people, you basically play Azir because you get a whole different deck. But what if you play cards that are in Shurima that have an effect that when the Sun Disk arrive, they get stronger too? That'd be pretty cool. So this is the General of the Dunes, Daybreak, or when you activate another Daybreak, grant the weakest enemy vulnerable. Cool, 4 cost 4/4, nice stats. The other ones are 2 cost 2/2. I don't know, and Elite too, it's like, wait, are we going, I guess in an Elite deck, you go Shurima Elite, that might be something, maybe? I don't know. Watery Grave, 3 cost Shadow Owls card, obliterate 6 cards from the bottom of the enemy's deck. We have another printer card. We got printer or print. Now, what's insane about this card, right? It's funny because it shows deep, right? But this would kill a deep deck, right? So like if you've been milling, right? And tossing. The opponent's been tossing. Tossing eliminates cards from the bottom, right? So like you're gonna likely draw your champions, but if you keep eliminating a bunch of cards and all of a sudden most of your champions are on the bottom, you play this card, they would just lose. It's weird because it's just a 3 cost kill deep. Deep just kind of fairly loses. Now against another person, this is one of the cards like the card I was saying before. It's kind of something where I guess you could see it, but this is something that if you want it to be successful, you want to be able to duplicate it. If not, karma duplicating it, right? Playing 1 and then you get 2, you eliminate 12 cards from their deck. instantly, obliterate. They're not getting revived or anything like that. So it would be card I feel like you would want to do that. But again, strategies like this, and even some the ones I was talking about before, are super about like, what is your board state? Like if you're printing spells and doing all this other stuff, what is your board state? And that's why a lot of those decks, those printer decks usually die, is because you're sitting there, you're making 16,000 time bomb. Time bomb's like one of the best one, right? Because at least it clears the enemy board constantly if you keep playing a bunch of them, and it also hits the nexus. But a lot of these printers, like if you don't get a field, that you just get attacked to death, you know, especially if the meta is currently aggro. Not the best thing in the world, right? But this is interesting, but I don't think you'll see much play. Unless deep becomes big, which is already currently isn't, and I haven't seen a card that's gonna make me like, oh, deep me please. And we have a, oh god, lonely chime slime. When another ally dies or itself dies, plant 4 chimes in your deck. So this is very similar to, it's funny we're talking about toss, right? Very similar to that, right? So it is a chime. So this is another bard card, right? So it's. And as cards are dying, you can place chimes. I love the way this looks. It looks really cool. I like the way it looks. It reminds me of Nito from Dark Souls. If you guys actually play other games that are that are Riot based, it reminds me of Dark Souls a lot. It reminds me of Nito because Nito is like a accumulation of stuff. This looks like a bunch of the dead chimes. This is the you didn't recycle monster. At all those chimes, you sucked the essence out and you just threw it somewhere. Now the chime monster is here to haunt you. But I like it. 2 cost 2/3. Sit on the field, and as things die, you get chimes in your deck. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. But these chimes are not planted on the top whatever cards. They are just in the deck. So heavily draw would help you do that. Or like I said, you could keep having things die. This ephemeral, you know, attack, chimes, and all of a sudden you have a big Hecarim or a big even the engine card that I forgot what it's called, the 2/3. That boosts up ephemerals, and like there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this. This card I think will definitely see play. It's just because if you luck out, right, something else dies or your sharks die, you put chimes in your deck, and now cards that were already kind of hard to remove now have +1/+1 or +2/+2. I think this card is pretty cool. And last but not least, we have the head mistress Telsi. She is Noxus, 5 mana, 5/5. Allied attack and support effects activate an additional time. Ooh, sorry. That's funny. Cause one, it doesn't have to be in the chain, right? So let's say I'm going Targon, baby, right? Cause Taric Riven is a big deck, right? So you do some of that stuff twice. I mean, obviously it's gonna help out with a lot, but attack ones are what I'm more interested in, right? Because certain stuff attack. So let's just use the homegirl that just came out, right? So her attack thing would happen twice. She attacks, you get 2 slipstreams, you get deals 4 damage to everything, the Nexus and everything like that. And this is Noxus, which I do think is one of her similar regions, because all that draw, you get some of the more obnoxious stuff that is in this, and then also you can get the wildfire, you know, so you're drawing a lot. So that's pretty cool. But what other this card is a deck building amazement, right? Because you could really have some fun with this. Also, since we did get the banquet, this card might come out on 4, and then you could have some other things attached to it, right? So now it makes you want to look into the whole archetype of attack units and support. Also, doesn't this work also with Legion Marauder, right? Legion Marauder would trigger twice. Each one would trigger twice. Super exhilarating the thing. So this, oh my god, that would make this insane with Legion Marauder, because Legion Marauder is on 3, and then you would sneakily put this on 4. Sorry, not 4, but you play it on 5, and then attack. And then they're getting +2 for each one that's doing it. And if you played a bunch of them, yeah, this could get out of control really quickly. But I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, right? That other champions. So poor Lulu would be irrelevant because she grows them to a certain amount, so she doesn't boost at anything. What other? I know I always feel like when I can't think of something and then I'll look into the actual Runeterra and I'm like, God, why did I think of that card, that card, that card, that card? But these, I feel like attack and support, especially support, we really don't see them that often. But it could really make a Lulu thing, not for Lulu herself, right? I'm not talking about Lulu herself, but all the cards that do give stats, right? The cards that actually give you +2/+1 or +1/+2, those are going to be huge buffs. So this card can really accelerate those cards. And obviously, like, Tarek would love it because it would make him level up insanely quicker. But also, yeah, I gotta see Tarek because Pale Cascade would trigger twice, would it not? That'd be very, very interesting to see how that works out. Yeah. Cards. This is one of the best like mini reveal I've seen. Outside of these two cards, I don't really care too much about them, but they keep giving daybreaks to another region. That's not, you know, I think that's pretty cool. I think the Water Grave is I like the Lonely Chime Slime. I like the Head Mistress. I really like Skip. Bursting Backpad is funny, it's cool. And same thing with Capsize. These cards, pretty cool, but Skip, Head Mistress is, to me, I think the strongest. I think that they're gonna really be, so I don't know, I don't want to say meta defining, but like they're gonna be, you're gonna definitely see some decks, especially printing this guy in Eternal. I think that this is just hilarious. You could just lock your opponent out fully if they don't have a removal for a 1/2 elusive. And what's crazy is that Vandal City has deny, so like you could actually just stall it out for a turn. And if you can see the card, like I said, if you can also capture spells, which is unheard of currently, you can only capture units, then that's still crazy. And I also get to pick. I just forgot about that. So I get to see 2 cards in the hand like a prank, and I get to take one of them and capture it, which is just insane. But yes, hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what cards that you thought were insane, or did you think that this was mediocre? Am I missing a combo that I'm not thinking of? Like I said, Capsize is crazy, but you won't know if you really screw them up because they can still make a play. You don't know if you stop them from playing something on curve. They may not have it. But this card, like I said, overall great card. Slap it in. This card, definitely funny printing, because every time you play it, it gets 4, then it goes to 8, then goes to 12, and then it gets nuts. This card, amazing. These 2 cards, why are they here? Interesting though. Elite Shurima, I could see that. That could be interesting, but it would mess up their, you know, Bannerman plays. Watery Grave, interesting printer card. Like if you can play it a bunch of times and then mill them out, I just don't see how you duplicate it to where it's relevant. But you also could mill out, but it's at the bottom of their deck. That's what makes it so crappy to me, is because these cards have no bearing on the match. The only way that you could be happy about obliterating 6 cards if you obliterate their cards in which they could have searched for them. Like if you have a boat, you know, like her boat. So you eliminate Neela that's actually near the bottom of the deck, and then the boat doesn't do it because you eliminate, like, yeah, it's so crap. Obviously good. It's a 2 cost. Even if it goes out there and then dies, it's still a 2 cost, plant 4 chimes. Randomly in the deck, but still 4 chimes in the deck. You never know what happens. Obviously, Headmistress, Telsey, good. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'm out for the next reveal. Peace.